Kenyan court releases cult leader on bail. Deputy Communications and Digital Minister Teo Ni Ching said that the activated song Digital Economic Centre PADI in Kapit, Sarawak can be an effective platform to promote products produced by villagers, especially in rural areas through e-business or online. Teo said through PADI, small entrepreneurs who were capable of earning only 150 ringgit in the past can now hit an average earning of 1,000 ringgit by selling their products online. She said, compared with the number of PADI that she had visited throughout Peninsular Malaysia, PADI Song has continued to receive very good response and support from the community, although the centre was activated some time ago. PADI Song is among 133 PADI centres established in Sarawak to cater for the needs of the people, which among others encourages rural villages to be involved in online business or e-business activities. Teo said craft produce from the rural areas of Sarawak has a big potential to be marketed online through various platforms outside Sarawak. Apart from the PADI Centre, 9 telecommunication towers have started operating in Song. 17 more will be installed under the federal government's Jalinan Digital Negara Jendela program and 15 more by the Sarawak state government through the Sarawak Multimedia Rural Telecommunication or SMART program. The Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency MMEA is seeking help from Indonesia's Search and Rescue National Agency Basarnas to locate 3 missing crew members of MT Pablo, which caught fire off Tanjung Sedeli last Monday. Johor Maritime Director First Admiral Maritime Nurul Hizam Zakaria said a simulation done using the Search and Rescue Optimal Planning System showed that the 3 could have drifted into Tanjung Pinang waters in Indonesia. He said in a statement issued last night that the Johor Bahru Maritime Rescue Sub-Centre has requested this Maritime Rescue Coordination Centre, MRCC, in Putrajaya to seek the assistance of Basarnas. He said rescuers had yet to enter the stricken tanker because an assessment showed it was still not safe for the Hazardous Materials Special Team HAZMAT from the Fire and Rescue Department to begin its search operations. However, he said the Royal Malaysian Navy's KD Pendekar as the on-scene coordinator OSC and MV Polaris of the Marine Department had carried out water spraying operations on the hull of the tanker. Admiral Nurul Hizam said a Marine Police Patrol boat and 2 MMEA boats were assisting in the sea search operations covering a sector measuring 393 square nautical miles. The missing crew members are Indian nationals Satyam Tirapati, 26, and Dinesh Kumar Chauhan, 34, and Ukrainian Sabich Sedrovorsky, 37. The fire gutted about 50% of the Gabon-registered MT Pablo, and it's not certain whether the 3 were trapped in the tanker or had been carried away by waves. A man was killed after his 4-wheel drive plunged into a ravine at Jalan Cerul in Kemaman, Terengganu at 6:50 p.m. yesterday. The victim was believed to be on his way from Kampung Cerul, Kemaman, heading towards Kuantan, Pahang. Kemaman Police Chief Superintendent Hanyan Ramlan said the victim was identified as Gunalan Sagaran, 40-year-old. He said the Ford Ranger driven by the victim was believed to lose control before plunging into the 12.7-meter deep ravine. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene due to severe injuries on his head and chest. The body was sent to Kemaman Hospital Forensic Unit for post-mortem, and the case is investigated under Section 41, Subsection 1 of the Road Transport Act 1987. A total of 176 heads of households in Kampung Melayu Majdi in Johor Bahru, whose homes were affected by a storm on Wednesday, will receive assistance of 3,000 ringgit each. Johor Menteri Besar Dato' On Hafiz Ghazi said the aid would be channeled through the Johor State Islamic Religious Council, the Johor Bahru City Foundation and the Johor Menteri Besar's office. In a Facebook post, the Menteri Besar said he had the opportunity to go down to the area to visit and listen to the grouses of the victims involved and look at the extent of the damage. The storm that occurred at 2:48 p.m. on Wednesday also caused damage to 3 cars which were hit by a fallen tree. Meanwhile, Johor Bahru City Foundation Board member Dato' Yahya Jaafar told reporters after visiting the homes of the affected victims that the allocation was aimed at settling the short-term needs of the victims involved. He said the data of eligible recipients will be provided by Social Welfare Department before the allocation can be distributed by next week. To ensure traffic in Sultan Iskandar Customs, Immigration and Quarantine CIQ complex flows smoothly and prevent congestion, the Immigration Department has decided to change their personnel shifts formula. The changes will be announced next week. Director General of Immigration Department Dato' Ruslin Juso said for now personnel shift rotation took place at 7 a.m. which is the peak hour at Johor Causeway. He added 100 new staff that will graduate by the end of this month will be placed at Sultan Iskandar Building BSI to accommodate the lack of personnel, while 113 others will be placed at critical locations including KLIA.
In the future ada lagi tambahan pejawatan yang telah diluluskan oleh pihak kerajaan. InsyaAllah kita ada sasaran perkara ini dari masa ke semasa kita akan tambah baik. Pejawatan baru juga ada diluluskan oleh pihak kerajaan juga lebih kurang dalam 700. 700 juga pada tahun ini kita nak rekrut cepat. Mereka ni insyaAllah pada tahun ini juga dan sebahagian besar juga akan berada di sini.
As of now, there are 243 positions waiting to be filled in BSI. There are 284 counters for both routes in BSI and 27.2 million exit and entry activities were recorded since 1st January up to 3rd May. Air travel recorded a strong demand growth for March 2023, rising 52.4% in total traffic as measured in revenue passenger kilometres of RPKS compared with March 2022. The International Air Transport Association IATA said domestic traffic for March rose 34.1% compared to the year-ago period. It said international traffic climbed 68.9% versus March 2022, with all markets recording healthy growth led once again by carriers in the Asia-Pacific region. IATA said international RPKS reached 81.6% of March 2019 levels, while the load factor at 81.3% exceeded the March 2019 level by 10.1 percentage points. Director General Willie Walsh said the calendar year first quarter ended on a strong note for air travel demand and domestic markets have been near pre-pandemic levels for months. He said 2 key waypoints were top for international travel, which is demand increased by 3.5 percentage points compared to the previous month's growth to reach 81.6% of pre-COVID-19 levels. This was led by a near tripling of demand for Asia-Pacific carriers as China's reopening took hold and efficiency is improving as international load factors reach 81.3%. He added that even more importantly, ticket sales for both domestic and international travel gave every indication that strong growth would continue into the peak Northern Hemisphere summer travel season. At least 130 people killed in Rwanda's flood and landslides. That and more in our following segment. Dozens of New Life Church members cheered and sang as their pastor, Ezekiel Odero, was released by a Kenyan court on Thursday. The televangelist was detained last week as part of an investigation into the death of dozens of people whom police say starved themselves to death on the instructions of a cult leader. Kenya's Interior Minister accused Pastor Ezekiel Odero after his arrest on April 27 of involvement in the mass killing of his followers without elaborating. A document presented in court last week said police had established that several deaths were recorded at Odero's church and that those bodies may have been moved to a forest about 66 kilometers away, where more than 100 bodies have been exhumed in the past 2 weeks. The police believe most of the bodies belong to the followers of the cult leader, Paul Mackenzie, who is accused of ordering them to starve themselves to death so they would be the first to go to heaven ahead of the world's end. At the hearing, Odero, dressed in his customary all-white garb and carrying a large Bible, sat in a secluded part of the courtroom. His defense lawyer, Cliff Umbeta, denied the state's accusations and argued for Odero's release. In his ruling, Magistrate Joe Omido said that the state had failed bring to enough evidence before the court to reasonably keep him in police custody for another 30 days. Omido granted the release of Odero and ordered him to deposit a non-cash bond of 22,000 USD or alternatively pay bail cash of over 11,000 USD. Outside, more than 100 of his followers sang praise songs and celebrated the court's decision. Rwandans grieve on Thursday for lost loved ones and destroyed homes after powerful floods and landslides tore through the country, killing at least 130 people and leaving many thousand homeless. The government was still counting the cost as families buried their dead in the aftermath of one of the worst such natural disasters in years in the hilly East African nation. Rivers of mud swept away homes and other infrastructure and cut off roads after heavy rains in several areas, particularly the western province bordering Lake Kivu, where the worst devastation was reported. In Rubavu, another district badly affected, survivors said the floodwaters brought their homes crashing down. Meanwhile, the Rwandan government was racing trucks over emergency supplies to the worst hit areas where evacuees are sheltering in tents. They have been advised to remain there until the rain stops, amid fear of further mudslides and flooding, with rivers still raging and land unstable. Prime Minister Eduardo Negriente toured the worst affected regions Thursday and joined mourning families as they prepared to bury relatives. The government will extend compensation of 100 Rwandan francs, or about $110 to each family for every member killed in the disaster. The Ukrainian Air Force said it downed its own drone that lost control over Kiev on Thursday after a series of explosions shook the capital. The explosions, which resonated for about 15 to 20 minutes in Kiev, followed a wave of overnight Russian attacks between Wednesday and Thursday. According to a statement released by the Air Force, at about 8 p.m. local time at Bayraktar TB2 unmanned aerial device lost control during a scheduled flight in the Kiev region, likely due to technical malfunction. Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said firefighters put out a fire on the ground floor of a 4-story shopping center in the Solomon-Siansky district. The fire spread over 50 square meters, 538 square feet, and caused some superficial damage, but no victims were reported. A short video clip showed the drone flying in the Kiev sky before it was hit, falling to the ground with plumes of black smoke visible. The White House has dismissed Russian accusations that the United States were behind a drone attack on the Kremlin as a blatant, bold lie. White House National Security Council spokesman John Kirby said this during a press briefing yesterday.
I'm not aware of any private conversations between us and Russian officials over this alleged drone attack. I mean, it just happened yesterday. But, I mean, I think we've been pretty clear that what Mr. Peskov says is just a blatant, bald lie. And I don't know that we need to privately convey that to him. I've been saying it all morning, and I'm saying it here again today. From the very beginning, the Russians have been trying to paint this war as some sort of fight with the West against Russia, NATO against Russia, the United States against Russia. So it perfectly fits in his frame, the framing that President Putin has tried to label this war as, like it was some sort of existential threat to Mother Russia, and of course it's not. Russia's the aggressor here.
The Kremlin attack came as Russia prepares to mark one of its main holiday of 9th May, celebrating the Soviet victory over the Nazis in World War II with a traditional military parade on Red Square. It came after 5 days of apparent sabotage attacks, including train derailed by explosion and massive fires in annexed Crimea. US President Joe Biden on Thursday threatened to impose new sanctions over Sudan's conflict, saying the fighting must end as gunfire and explosions rocked Khartoum for a 20 straight day. Hundreds of people have been killed in Sudan since battle began on 15 April between Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan's forces and his former deputy Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo's Rapid Support Forces, RSF. As the latest ceasefire expired at midnight, the army said it was ready to abide by a new 7-day truce, but there was no word from its foes in the paramilitary RSF. Biden signed an executive order on Thursday that broadens authority to impose sanctions on those responsible for threatening the peace, security, and stability of Sudan and undermining Sudan's democratic transition, the US leader said in a statement without naming potential targets. Within hours of the latest supposed ceasefire taking effect, witnesses in Khartoum reported explosions and exchanges of fire on the streets around dawn and clashes during the day in a city of 5 million people. The Foreign Ministry later accused the RSF of attacking the Indian embassy and other evacuated diplomatic missions. In sports, Napoli won their first Serie A title after almost 3 decades. Stay tuned. The national under-22 squad has been reminded not to wait until the last minute to secure a place in the semi-finals of the 2023 SEA Games men's football competition. FAM President Dato' Hamidin Mohamad Amin issued the reminder as he wanted the Harimau Muda squad to fight to the best of their ability for a positive result when they face the two favourites Thailand and Vietnam in a fierce Group B competition. Dato' Hamidin said Elavarasan's players who have a target to reach the finals must consider the clash with the two teams as a matter of life or death in an effort to improve their chances of progressing to the next round. He said the players also understood that they had no other choice but to steal 3 points in both matches. Elavarasan's squad, which defeated Laos 5-1 in the first group action at the Prince Stadium here on Wednesday, will face Thailand and Vietnam respectively tomorrow and Monday at the same venue, while the two opposing teams will meet each other on 11th May. He also said that the squad has an advantage when the players included as substitutes are seen to have the same ability as the main lineup. Malaysia and Thailand, who have only played one game, have 3 points respectively in second and third place in Group B, while Singapore and Laos are at the bottom after failing to collect points in the first 2 games. Vietnam, as the defending champion, leads the competition with 6 points after recording 2 consecutive victories. The national men's indoor hockey team are one step away from retaining the gold medal in the 2023 SEA Games after qualifying for the final. Coach Muhammad Hanif Cep Halim said his men previously had displayed better and more organised play compared to their recent games. The win over Thailand enabled Malaysia to remain unbeaten at the biennial games, having earlier hammered Cambodia 10-1, the Philippines 19-0 and Singapore 5-0. The national team will complete their round-robin fixtures against Indonesia on a Saturday before heading into the gold medal showdown against them same opponents the next day.
Untuk yang kita akan jumpa dengan Indonesia, di situ adalah taktikal-taktikal yang akan dikeluarkan lagi. Ada spare-spare taktikal lagi. Indonesia so far dia pun bagus. Kita nampak sebab dia pun dah ke Europe, training apa semua, kita dah keluar. Mungkin di situ ada dapat input-input yang baru. Tapi kita pun makin menghampiri. Kita pun ada yang kita dapat input-input daripada luar untuk kita praktikkan dan kita variasikan pada game kali ini.
For the record, the national men's indoor hockey team bagged the gold medal in 2019 edition in the Philippines after beating Thailand 3-1 in the final. Indoor hockey was not contested at the 31st edition in Hanoi, Vietnam last year. In European football news, Napoli won their first Italian Serie A title in 33 years, clinching the Scudetto on Thursday with a 1-1 draw at Udinese. The title in Napoli's third in Italy's top division and their first since the legendary Argentine player Diego Maradona led them to the championships in the 1987 and 1990. Needing only a draw to take an unsaleable 16 points lead with 5 games remaining, Serie A's top scorer Victor Osimhen equalised for Napoli in the 52nd minute to spark wild celebrations throughout Naples. Napoli could have sealed the title at home on Sunday but conceded a late equaliser to Salernitana to extend the wait for more days. They went into Thursday's game knowing a point would be enough, even after nearest challengers Lazio beat Sassuolo a day earlier. For weeks, Napoli's march to the title had seemed inevitable as they built a massive lead over the rivals. Spalletti's side went unbeaten through the first 15 games of the campaign, including an 11-match winning streak. After their first loss, away at Inter, Napoli immediately went on an 8-game winning run to go 18 points clear at the top and put a strange hold on Scudetto. Its first time to a club south of Italy's traditional football capitals of Milan, and Turin has won the league since Roma claimed the title in 2001. Napoli matched the record of clinching with 5 rounds to spare, shared with Torino, Fiorentina, Inter Milan and Juventus. The southern Italian city of Naples exploded into what was shaping up to be a long night of celebrations as Napoli swept away years of disappointment. Argentine hero Diego Maradona inspired Napoli to its second and last triumph in 1990, but since then, the coveted Scudetto has been won almost exclusively by teams from wealthy northern Italy such as Juventus, Inter and AC Milan. Many Napoli fans stayed home and watched the game at their local Maradona Stadium, which was specially equipped with 8 giant screens. The US consulate issued a security alert last week saying spontaneous celebrations could last multiple days and warned of heavy traffic or road closures, significant use fireworks and alcohol consumption throughout the city. Police had banned fireworks, but that did not stop the sky being lit up as soon as the Udinese game was over. Authorities also banned cars and scooter traffic from the city centre in the hope of minimizing risk to public order. Having enjoyed a stellar season, Neapolitans have been gearing up for weeks for the title celebration, casting aside their usual superstition about claiming victory before it happens. Moving on to tennis, lucky loser John Lennart Struff stuns 4th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas 7-6, 5-7, 6-3 to reach the last 4 at the Caja Magica. Struff's run at the Mutua Madrid Open appeared to be a short-lived when he lost in the final round of qualifying last Tuesday. 9 days later, he is into his first ATP Masters 1000 semi-final. It is the high point of a strong comeback for the 33-year-old. The German has lost just 5 service games in the main draw and dropped just 1 to the 4th seed. Both players were in good form inside Manolo Santana Stadium, using their serve to take control of points and backing it up by blood-yawning ground strokes and often coming to net on the red clay. When Struff double faltered away the first break of the match at 5-5 in the second set, it seemed the moment was potentially affecting him. But the German had a short memory and immediately clicked back into gear. Having faced the first 9 break points of the match, he earned his first break point of the match at 2-1 in the third set. The Warnstein native seized the opportunity with both hands, crushing back-to-back backhands, which his opponent was unable to handle. Struff's down-the-line backhand proved especially useful, often putting the Greek into difficulty. After Tsitsipas saved 1 match point with a jaw-dropping forehand passing shot, Struff then won 2 consecutive points, completing his victory when the 4th seed missed a backhand return long. The German will next face Aslan Karasev, who ousted him in qualifying. Top-ranked Iga Swiatek cruised past Veronika Kudermetova 6-1, 6-1 in the late semi-final of the Madrid Open to set up a second straight final showdown with world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka. Swiatek had beaten Sabalenka 6-3, 6-4 to win the Stuttgart Open at the end of April, gearing up for her French Open title defence later this month. Kudermetova powered to 4 break points in that game. Swiatek erased each of those chances as she methodically moved to victory without ever dropping serve in the night. Earlier, world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka brushed past Maria Sakkari 6-4, 6-1 in the semi-finals to set up second straight final showdown with top-ranked Iga Swiatek. Sabalenka and Sakkari's 9th meeting on tour and first on clay ended with the 24-year-old Belarusian extending her win-loss record over the Greek 9th seed to 6-3. Sabalenka, who was champion in Madrid in 2021, stayed on track for her second title of the season in style after winning the Australian Open in January. She won an impressive 70.7% of her first serve points and saved 5 of 6 break points while sending down 4 aces against Sakkari. Sabalenka, 24, will now play a second consecutive clay court final against world number 1 Swiatek, where the latter won the last meeting in the final in Stuttgart last month. And with that, we reach the end of today's updates at noon. Our top story today, Malaysia seeks Indonesia help to search and locate 3 missing crew members of MT Pablo. Don't forget to join us again tonight at 8:30 p.m. on saluran Berita RTM. Now, have you ever wondered what would a combined work of renowned European artists such as Michelangelo and August Rodin would look like? Lo and behold, the impossible statue, an embodiment of 5 different artists created through artificial intelligence, currently on display at the Science and Technology Museum of Stockholm. Till then, Malaysia, I'm SAHIH. Goodbye and thank you for watching.